What are the responses of these children? There's an article you will find some of the resources that are used in putting this talk together. Um, but there's something called child sexual abuse accommodation syndrome. This is a response that is seen in these children, and a physician kind of put it together. This article is actually an older article, but excerpts of it has been used and reused. So I'm acknowledging them both. But this syndrome is a 5 category um, set of responses that you find in children. You know what hurts the most? These children, when people finally find out, be it their parents, their caregivers, even the legal system, they are not believed. This is like putting them through all over again what they've been suffering and going through. But anyway, it's called child sexual abuse accommodation syndrome. And these are 5 levels of responses that you might see in these children. Number one is secrecy. They tend to hold it in secrecy. Why? The poor child has been scared stiff. Anything from if you tell your parents I'm gonna have to kill them or kill your pet or kill you, maybe not you, or I'm gonna harm you in a way that you're gonna feel the suffering. Or, they've been sworn to secrecy in one way or another. Either or they might say, you will be put to shame, you will be a public knowledge, nobody will want to be your friend again. It could be any of those things. Remember, we're dealing with a mind that is young, a mind that is supposed to be pure. They don't have a part B, C, D of a narrative. What you tell it's as good as they see it most of the time. These are kids. So they exhibit secrecy, helplessness. I mean, what do you think? If it happens once, typically, if at the time it happens, there is no breakdown of all the charade or somebody coming to their aid, and especially if it's within the home they live in, chances are that it's going to continue. And of course, this child feels helpless because this is a neglected child in the midst of people. The child is living with people, seemingly people that can protect her, yet she's exposed, she's unprotected, she's helpless. So, yes, the child exhibits helplessness and just feels, what's the point? Nobody can see me. I guess nobody can help me. It's a child's mind, I repeat, that we're dealing with. Number 3 in this category, in this 5 category syndrome, is entrapment and accommodation. One of the cases that was reported to me recently about this child, again, I think that's the story that I featured on my blog page, is a child, a teenager, who is living the craziest life, will hop in bed with anyone, will engage in oral sex with multiple partners at a time, will give herself almost like a whore, but not getting money for it. When asked if she likes it, she doesn't even like it. But she's living this life. The father has decided that this is a child from hell, and so I'm just going to ignore the child. The mother thinks this is a troublesome child. I don't know what to do, but there is something crazy going on. So one thing led to another that brought the child to, a physician who then who referred the child. Anyways, I don't want to get into the details of it yet, but do you know that what this child is exhibiting is as a result of a painfully learned childhood survival skills? This child was being abused from an age that I gag on to a 2-year-old through to 16, that's 14 years of a 16-year life of sexual abuse. What did you think you were going to get from that child? So when you see pathological dependency, self-punishment, self-mutilation, self-restructuring, or selective restructuring of reality and multiple personalities in a child, it's usually a remnant of a learned survival skills of when that was how they learned to cope. You know, that was just how they learned to cope. That's pretty much what we're seeing in them when they start to exhibit all sorts of behaviors. Okay? Other things that we might notice is delayed or unconvincing disclosure. When we say unconvincing, it burns my heart when you say that. It's, of course, it's unconvincing. The child doesn't even know what to expect anymore. This has gone on for years. There has been a delay in the report. Usually the report doesn't come up because the child decided, oh, today I'm just going to report that I'm being abused. It's usually something leading to the other. Maybe there's a breakdown of communication. The child is growing up, now can say no, or can actually, the child can revolt. And maybe the perpetrator, having cheated the child over years, the child has come to that age where it says, I'm not going to take this anymore, and just snaps. That's usually when it comes out. The child snaps, it comes out. And now you're saying it's unconvincing. Of course it's unconvincing because you don't want to believe it. May God help us. May God help us. And of course, retraction. The child tries to protect himself or herself, but it really doesn't. How? Especially when you have the perpetrator living under the same room with the child. How? But they still exhibit retraction. Now, this accommodation syndrome is actually put together to help clinicians improve their understanding and acceptance of the child's position. Because for years it was difficult for people, and I think it still is, to understand why a child will not talk, or why a child will not react a certain way. This is you, an adult, thinking this way. Children don't necessarily fit into your quote-unquote profile or protocol of reaction to events. We need to know that. That is why we're talking about this right now. An application of this syndrome tends to challenge, the entrenched myths and prejudice around these children that have suffered sexual abuse. It also provides credibility and advocacy for the child within the home, the court system, and of course throughout the treatment process. I know that I said we will try to fit this in, but this is such a big topic. Parents, if you will please respond to me online if we need to go on or we need to do a part 2 of this. But I'm just going to continue because we're almost there. Now, the criminal justice system statistics. Say this is mind-blowing. Of every 1,000 rape cases, 995 perpetrators will walk free. That's 99.5% will walk free in rape cases. 230 cases are actually reported. That's about 23% is what is reported, and only about 4.6 rapists will ever be incarcerated. Now let's compare that with robberies. Over 61% of robberies are reported, as against 23% of rape. And of in that, at least 20 robbers will be incarcerated versus 4 in rapists. If we compare it also to battery crimes, assault and battery crimes, about 62.7% get reported. About 33 of these criminals are actually incarcerated. Now, this is something I got from rain.org/statistics.